Welcome back to Dream of Mirror Online. Last time, we took a break in order to become a witch doctor and introduce that job. It took me a bit of time to get used to it, but I did eventually figure it out. Some of the skills are not perfectly translated on it, or the wording is very awkward, unfortunately. So, today I would like to return to being a fencer and finish up the bunny recipe quest in Grassgreen Square. But first, I need to talk to you about a few things. You can see my inventory is bigger. Someone in Eversun City was in their stall selling an item called 5 Easy Spaces, which increases your inventory by 5 slots. I think you can only use it once, unfortunately. If I ever see it for sale again, I could always try, and if that's not the case, I can always just give it to a friend, no problem. But yeah, I think you can only use it once. So now I have 5 extra slots, which isn't a lot, but it does still add up. I also saw they were also selling this costume. So it was only 100k, which sounds like a lot, but honestly, when you consider how much gold you get out of grinding, it's not a big deal. It is based on the Shinsengumi uniform. There are a lot of anime style costumes in this game. I'm not a big fan of this one, but I thought it would be interesting to show it off. And I was training a lot in my rhino armor, which is very ugly, so it was nice to put this on instead. However, I do really like the level 30 light armor, so bye-bye. I'll use it again some other time. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Okay, I was playing with a friend and this just completely floored me. They are a Blade Master and they were barely getting hurt at all, which is insane because Blade Masters are huge glass cannons. Well, it turns out that your titles add stats. You can see here that the Big Spider Camper gives you 110 to your max HP. Classic Protector gives you 240 extra HP. Giant Hedgehog Flyer gives you 14 magic attack, and the Domo Anniversary title, which you get in the gift box when you first make a new character and talk to the Eversun guide, I believe it is, that gives you 500 extra HP, 100 extra defense, and plus 25 to both your physical attack and your magic attack. You can see now my fencer has 192 defense and 2,113 HP, when before it was 1,600. That's incredible, and my magic attack and my physical attack are also much higher. That is incredible, and I can't believe I haven't been using it this whole time. I didn't even realize. I never knew the titles did all that. I thought they were just cosmetic. So it turns out that the current title here that you put in your active slot is the one that will give you the stats. And then these other titles are just for show. They don't give you the extra stats. They don't stack. So for the lols, I did put on a cup of Buse's alcohol. It's so silly, but why not? And so now I should be doing much better against enemies. I think this is an attempt on the part of the GMs to rebalance the game, because nowadays there's a much smaller user base and you're going to be soloing a lot, especially if you're not at the super high levels where people will team up still to do the high level dungeons. And as a result, the game is kind of more difficult. A lot of areas were balanced in order to be played by teams, and you can't do that a lot nowadays. Like on the world map, I talked about how Swan Lake Basin has 2 different dungeons. They're a lot harder if you're playing solo, but no one is training in those dungeons anymore because they're all level 75. They don't care to. So as a result, buffing the player is an easy way to rebalance the game's difficulty to account for a lot of people being single player nowadays. I personally really appreciate it. That, along with the very frequent experience bonuses the server gives, make it a lot easier to do single player. And I personally enjoy playing single player a lot. To me, this game is kind of like, I don't know, Breath of the Wild. You just want to explore and check out the new things and set personal goals like that. That's what appeals to me. Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk about was that off-screen I did train up some of my sub-jobs. I now have level 33 Doctor, and I unlocked Inner Magic, which recovers your MP in increments of 7. It requires 84 MP to cast, but the casting interval is 72 and it lasts 360 seconds, so you can just keep putting it back on indefinitely. I also got higher level regeneration. I'm now getting 38 HP increments, and my first aid is level 8. The thing that I'm really excited about, though, is getting my thief leveled up. I now have level 5 premonition, which increases my evasion to 20, and I have level 1 fighting foresight, which increases your evasion by 12 and your defense by 10. That will increase, of course, as you level it up. They both have, as a thief, a casting interval of 720, and as a fencer, I have a casting interval of 792. That is higher because the fencer doesn't have as much agility as the thief. Thief just has a much higher base agility. So I only have, as a fencer, a short gap between them, and as a thief, I would be able to constantly alternate them and never run out. This will give me much more evasion and will be really useful when fighting solo, and eventually when I unlock my area of effect moves at higher levels, I will be able to do some small groups of monsters, hopefully, especially with the title giving me more HP and defense. I also now have Control Breathing, which recovers 84 MP, which means that inner magic is essentially free. And I also have Rhythm of Life, which instantly recovers 300 HP and 38 MP. And these have a long casting interval. They're both close combat skills as thieves, so they are on the same page as Premonition and Fighting Foresight, and they are incredibly useful. By using all of these skills in combination, if you have a job which can do area of effect fighting, you can actually do it alone. You have to be careful, definitely don't get too greedy when you pull mobs or you will get yourself killed, but it is possible to keep your HP and your MP stable and also have higher evasion in order to deal with all of that. It is great and I'm very excited to have that. The last thing I want to talk about was, remember all of those gemstones which I told you didn't need? I have to issue a slight retraction. People in my guild were saying that one thing they like to do is actually use their second character as a mule for storage. So they'll create the second character and they'll just use their bank account and their extra inventory for storing all of these types of items. That is an absolutely valid thing to do. Since I'm playing as Mian Mian and actually doing a lot of experimenting and training with her, that's not a possibility for me, but that's definitely a good option if you are not using that second character. So that's a good little tip. Oh, actually this is wood. I should use the other saber even if it doesn't have great magic attack. Whoops. So you can see with the fighting with Premonition on, she's just missing me constantly. I would even consider trying to deal with a mob of these guys, but I don't have the metal area of effect attack yet. I still need 2 more levels up of Rolling Thunder before I can even unlock that. I'm gonna have to do the Fencer level 30 life quest soon. Let's just do 2 of them and see how that goes with the not very effective spell. The extra defense and the extra evasion is gonna help though, so let's see. You can see I'm doing decent damage to them, but it's just without the full set of spells and without better spells, there's just a limit to what I can do. Although I am definitely dealing with their attacks much better. My goodness. But I need a better roster of spells. So I personally think that as Fencer, you're only really going to be effective at doing area of effect damage and taking groups of monsters in the higher levels. At this stage, I still just don't have enough area of effect moves, and you would need to cycle through them and all of that. You can see they cool down nicely. So it's something I can do later on, but right now is still not feasible for me. Whew, a lot of talking there, but that is my personal feeling on the matter. And again, I feel so stupid for not knowing about the title. It's so good. 500 extra HP, 100 extra defense. My goodness, I love it. And also Premonition, look at how good Premonition is. Your evasion is pretty good as a fencer. Your base evasion is lower than a dancer, which is a really good evasion-based job, but it is still very good, and you're still getting the same amount of evasion out of agility every time you level it up, so it is very good. You can see now with Premonition on, my evasion is 65, and that's actually equal to a dancer at this point when I'm using a buff, so it is really good. And now this is going to, once I have more of my area of effect moves unlocked, make me much more viable for actually dealing with multiple monsters at once. This is going to be extremely important at the higher levels because when you go into dungeons and some of the high level areas, the monsters aggro. So you need to be able to deal with multiple monsters at once, especially if it's a tight area and you can't find an area where you can just hide and pick off one monster at a time. So you see that was a D grade gem. I am going to start storing those, unfortunately. I stand corrected once again, sorry about that. I get things wrong, it's a very dense game and I may change my opinions on certain things. At first I thought it was too much fuss, but since I'm playing the game a lot and I do really enjoy continuing to get up to the high levels, it is actually worth putting some effort into doing some of the upgrades. I personally don't think I'll bother with modding weapons to get them to like the super, super, super high grades. I think that's a bit much, but it's fine. So here we are, we're doing just fine. I'm gonna check my pet here, not you. I love you, Safi, but not you. So he does have, let's see, I'm gonna give him 25% experience at the moment. He will benefit from fighting these two because they're level 34. Unfortunately, I don't have any of my pet healing skills equipped because I wanted all of this stuff, but what can you do? It's fine, we will make do with just this. So I'm just going to be focusing on the bunny quests for now, and I'm not going to worry about the assault quest properly, because I still have to fight a bunch of stubborn stones, and those are, well, they should be fine with a wood spell, but whatever, it's not that important. I would rather focus on just doing the bunny quests for this episode and finishing those up. And I am babbling a lot. I'm babbling a mile a minute. So for now, I'm just going to fight some more of the Ivy Spirits and meet you in a bit when I've made some progress on that quest. Okay, I finished up the Ivy quest portion, the Ivy Spirit portion of the quest, and now I need to talk to Jack Rabbit again. Let's see. Report mission status. Collecting the nectar. Wonderful! The nectar will give my special rice cakes their sweetness. Thank you so much. Yes, mission sheet. Okay, let's wait for this to go away. And I'm going to open up that dice chest and see what we get. Vitamin D pill. You can see it does 600 HP, but I wouldn't be surprised if at this point first aid is at least as good as that, if not better. There's a reason I'm not a big fan of these items. And I did level up. Now, I waited for premonition to wear off because I want to see if I put my points in agility, how much bonus I get from that. I believe you get 1.2 every time you put points in, 1.2 evasion every time you put points into agility. And at the moment, I do really want to put points into agility, both for the faster cooldown and for more evasion. And I'm actually curious here. I think that if you put points into agility as a fencer, you'll also get physical attack boost. Basically, there's no point, unless you really do want to do really heavy hitting. You don't really need to put points into power. I only ever put 1 point into it, so it's not that big a deal. But yeah, your wisdom and agility and dexterity, I think they all put points into physical attack as well. So let's see, evasion is 45. Now it's 46. 48. You can see that 0.2 does add up, and now 49. Not as good as some other jobs which are higher evasion, but honestly pretty respectable. And once you put on premonition or fighting foresight, it's very good. So it looks like agility doesn't add to attack for fencer, but that's okay. Now we have 3 points from level up, and I do want to work on rolling thunder so I can get the area of effect version soon. Okay, here we are. That's about all I can do with my level up at the moment. So let's talk to Jack Rabbit and see what he wants next. Collecting the rose pollen. The bunny's special rice cake has a unique, elegant aroma, and its taste will linger in your mouth for a long time. The secret to this aroma is the addition of the pollen from the Audrey offspring rose. Would you mind gathering 30 portions of rose pollen for me? Would you like to help? Sure. So Audrey offspring are, oh, that rabbit is level, let me check. I probably could take him if I was careful, but he is level 38. So, I don't need to fight him yet. Let us find the Audrey offspring. They're a bit further north. And Harry Hare here, you can only do his quests when you've finished Jack Rabbit's quests. I believe Harry Hare will actually give you access to Quintuple Manor. Now you can pay an NPC to sneak into Quintuple Manor, but if you do Harry Hare's quests, I believe that you will just be able to go in at all times without having to pay, so that's nice. Alright, let me just check on the map. The Audrey offspring are going to be all the way up here, this area. So, yeah, I just need to keep going north, and I will get to the Audrey offspring. There is also another area boss, the Divine Cuckoo King, I think it is, and I don't want to fight him yet, so I'll just keep an eye out for him. And you can see that I am in a party with a friend of mine for the auto loot, but that's what you do. You can set to automatically distribute in team order, and even if you're on different maps, it will still work. So that's very useful. If you have a friend who also plays, even if you're playing separately, then you can just take advantage of the auto loot. It's especially great if you're doing area of effect fighting, which I haven't quite unlocked yet, but I'm working on it. Okay, there he is, and he is level 40, so I definitely don't want to fight him yet. Let's just head further up north to the Audrey offspring. So yes, I'm now at, I'm just looking again, 49 evasion, which is not bad. And once I have these on, it'll go up a lot. There are the Audrey offsprings. Now, I believe that they will, I'm not sure, I think they're like the man-eating marigold, and if they see you beating up a friend, they will actually, oh, there's another one of them. And, oh my goodness, there's another boss. Oh goodness. Demonic Daisy, let me just look, that is level 45. That will absolutely kill me. Okay, so I need to go somewhere else in order to train. That is something you do have to be careful of to navigate where the area bosses are. I believe that the pathway to the farm will also have the... Oh wait, actually, what I could do instead is fly up. Oh, that's so pretty. Look at that, that's gorgeous. Anyway, this area way up here shouldn't have any area bosses. And it leads to the entrance to Blackatoa, which is for the high 30s. So that's the next level up area, but I'm not going there yet. I just want to go there to train because I believe that the area bosses won't be near that landing pad, and I can thus train safely against the Audrey offspring. Relatively safely. All right, let's just take a quick look around. We now have the Noxious Nymphalidae, which are water type, so Earth spell coming in handy again. Ha 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 ha. Of course, of course. And we do need those for the assault quest, so I could fight some of those too. And we're gonna bring out my pet, not like that. And he's getting pretty close to level up, so that's great. But for now I need to buff myself and fight the Audrey offspring. Need to check what level they are and also put on Premonition. Level 36. So it's a good thing I have that those boosted stats and better healing and also the extra evasion now. And see, he just missed me again. It really makes a huge difference. Okay. And here are the Noxious Nymphalidae. They are not very tough. They're level 33, and they're witch doctors, so they don't have the high evasion that some of the other butterfly and moth enemies in the game do. So that's very nice. Okay, a little bit dicey. Well, not yet, but I do want to test if they aggro when you fight their friends. But right now there isn't another one nearby enough to notice anyway, so that's not a big deal. Oh, they hit really hard though. My goodness, 216. I would not be taking mobs of them then. Absolutely not. Now we're at minus 537 and that did all of our HP. So that's good. Huh. Well, it looks like they don't aggro if you're fighting their friends. That is good to know because that's always something which makes an area a little bit more troublesome to train in. He couldn't care less. And I'm basically just using the spells which are effective against wood enemies and ending on the metal, which is super effective. And then of course there's no point using wood against a wood enemy, and earth will not be effective against a wood enemy, it'll be resistant, so there we are. I'm actually gonna look. Huh, that actually does normal damage. Maybe I could use that too. I think that enemies you don't actually resist your own element in this game. That's interesting and good to know. I've been a little bit tripped up by that because of course in Pokemon you do resist your own element. But let's look. 600, 579, 573, and then 744. So you don't resist your own element. Okay. As said, good to know. Oh, they do hit hard. Good thing that they don't actually have aggro. Well, we're getting very good experience off of them, and fortunately since I have all of my extra evasion and now my extra defense, I'm doing just fine against them. If I didn't, then I would need to wait a couple of levels before I fought them. But one thing that's really nice about the extra defense, because essentially to some extent the attack an enemy does to you is scaled based on level. So since I'm 2 levels lower than them, they're doing more damage to me. But because I have the extra defense and HP from the title now, I could have been using that all along. Anyway, since I have that, now I'm able to take enemies which are a couple of levels higher than me without being in danger the way I would before. So that's very nice. Okay, well, I'm perfectly safe here. There are no bosses which are going to aggro on me, and the enemies won't aggro, so I can just fight them at my leisure, and I will do that, and see you in a bit when I finish this quest up. Okay, so I have finished the Audrey Offspring quest, and I'm working on the Noxious Nymphalidae since I'm here anyway, and my pet also got to level 33. I've put him away for now because I have found something quite exciting that I want to show you. I am actually capable of taking small mobs if they don't hit hard, and the Noxious Nymphalidae in particular are just not hard hitters at all. I still don't quite have a large enough range of area of effect moves or them at high enough level for this to be really, really smooth. I do have to wait a while for them to cool down, and I don't have quite enough power on a lot of them and stuff like that, but this is starting to become feasible. So we'll start with Crashing Waves, because that's a decent level. Now, the Roaring Inferno is not going to do much, of course, because they are water type, but it's still a tiny bit of damage. Then we have the Wood, and now we have Crushing Landslide, which does do a decent chunk, and it's not as high level as it could be, remember that. So now the only problem I've got is cooldown, unfortunately. It's a shame that all of my sub-skills here are so useful and they don't have any, although now we can see that Crushing Waves has cooled down again. I think once some of these skills are higher level, this is going to be extremely feasible, and I've got all 4 of them available. Look at this! Of course, these guys don't hit very hard. I wouldn't worry about do the Audrey Offsprings this way, they hit too hard. But look at that! That is extremely smooth. That is really working out nicely, and I didn't even put on Premonition or Fighting Foresight. I'm just doing it like this. This is going really well. I think that, yeah, it depends on the monster, and I may need to work on my stats more and my evasion and things like that. But yeah, I think this might be feasible long term. I think that basically with Fencer, you can do Area of Effect, but you need to wait longer until you have all of these skills set up. Dancer is basically all Area of Effect. You only have like a couple of single target moves. Almost all of them are Area of Effect moves. Okay, come on, little butterfly. I need to kill you too. Let's use Toughen Magic. It's only level 1, but it'll do something. And here we are. So you can see we're still not quite there yet. These need to be higher levels so they do more damage, and I need to have a few more unlocked because the cooldown is a little bit unforgiving. The agility will help with that long term, but that is a slight problem. But I think that long term this could be feasible once these skills are higher level. Even a not very effective move is better than nothing. Ta-da! And I'm nearly done with the Grassgreen Square Assault for the Nymphalidae just because of this. This is incredible. As said, these skills are not high enough level yet, and I'm missing one of them. Like Howling Wind is only level 1, this is only level 2. So clearly I need to work more on that, but long term, I think this is going to be feasible. I think that my goal of getting Fencer to be an Area of Effect attacker for solo play is feasible. It's just going to take longer than it will for Dancer. And the advantage is I just have better attack as a Fencer. So yeah, my evasion isn't quite as good, but once I've got these skills leveled up, I should be able to do a lot more damage per hit. So yeah, I'm really feeling a bit more hopeful that this may be feasible long term. And of course, these guys do have a debuff they can put on you, which will lower your accuracy, which is a shame. Oh no, oh no. Let's make sure the array is not on the Audrey Offspring. I do not need that. It's one thing I do really like about the array for the Fencer is I can see exactly where I'm going to be hitting. I'm just going to move away from him. The Audrey Offspring hit a lot harder, so I don't want to be dealing with that. Come on. There we are. Of course, these guys, as you see, they don't hit very hard and they miss a lot. So that's part of why this is feasible when normally I would have to wait longer to be able to do something like this. Okay, but yeah, I'm just feeling like this is actually possible. You see, this reduces your accuracy, Dazzle Dust. It's kind of like my Razzle Dazzle. That one. Yeah, so I'm getting really close to level 35, and I also am making a lot of progress on the Noxious Nymphalidae quest. So I will meet you back at Jackrabbit in a bit so that I can finish up his quest and see what the reward is. Okay, I have finished that quest, and now it's time to turn it into Jackrabbit. And that should also get me a level up. Excellent. Okay. Marvelous. The rose pollen will give my special rice cakes their unique aroma. Okay, it's time to pound the rice cake. Alrighty, there's your delicious smelling, great tasting special rice cake. To show you my gratitude for your help, I'll present you with a title and a special piece of equipment. So now we can choose to get shoes from one of the different armor sets. Chainmail boots. I actually can't remember. I think that's for level 35 set. Sorry, but let me look that up. Yes, that is. Excellent. That's great. Okay. I'm going to get that then, because I'm pretty much at the point of needing this. I'm going to have to, even though I like this armor, I'm going to have to start upgrading it for my fencer. Okay, so we also get a dice chest, and we get a bunny special rice cake. I'm not actually sure what we need these for, so I'm just going to keep them for now. I think they might be for like another quest or something. And some monster dropped a soft stick. This is actually a staff for the martial artist, and it's already upgraded. Wow, I guess I'll keep that. Okay, that's interesting. Might as well keep it. And here are the chainmail boots, and you can see now at this stage, we not only are getting the extra defense stats from the armor. This has 4 extra defense, so it's 18, that's great. It also has a slot for an onyx. I don't think I have any onyxes at the moment which can go into boots, but hey. And the dice chest will give us some bolts from the blast, no onyxes. Oh well, I don't want the whipped cream. Just don't care for that quest. And the iron arrow, you can't sell them unfortunately. I mean, you could, but they don't have any money. And then I'm going to also take some of my iron arrows, because I just have so many, I don't need them. I'm not going to be doing hunter a lot. And right now I have so much that they're just overflowing, so I'm just going to tell some of them. There we are. I'm also not going to keep the treasure map because you need to be higher level to risk using those, and I'll get it again when I'm training here. Oh, looks like I also have too many of the muted poison bugs, although you can sell those. Okay, so I do still have the Grassgreen Square Assault. I have not finished that up. I need to fight more stubborn stones for that one, and I have not quite leveled up. So I might want to go do that quickly. We can just find a few stones to beat up. I think they're going to be a little bit further up here. Just keeping an eye out for Mr. Wabbit. Okay, let's put on regen, and I guess we'll put on premonition. The stubborn stones are going to hit harder, and at this stage I need to put back the breeze blade, which has wood attack. Okay. I'll just do 1 or 2s to level up. I'm not really worried about fighting at the moment, because I do want to start winding down for the day. Okay, metal is probably not going to be very good against earth, but it's fine. Look at that. I am going to need more dexterity at some point, but wow, that is definitely, the title is making such a huge difference to my defense. Well, also, I now have really good evasion with these abilities. Even without the title, my evasion would probably make doing some small mobs feasible, but in particular with that title, with the extra defense, this is just incredible. I am very excited. So it looks like I was right. You can build a high agility, high MP fencer, and eventually you can actually deal with aggro. It's just not immediate because you need to level these skills up quite a bit. You do have a natural disadvantage in agility in comparison to some of the other higher agility jobs, but it's not bad. You're getting the same bonuses. Oh, here we are. Now we could actually do the Blackatoa Assault. However, I'm not going to be doing that next episode. For one thing, I haven't finished the Grassgreen Assault, and for another, I actually have decided that I would like to start backtracking in the next episode. Okay, let me just quickly do this. So that's premonition on, of course, but I'm just going to do agility again. Honestly, I think that the evasion is starting to really catch up a bit. And now I have 4 points, so I can get Rolling Thunder up 1 level. And then I can also do Cracking Thunder. Now I finally have 5 area of effect moves, and as I level up, I'm going to keep putting more points into them, because I do want to start being able to deal with aggro. At this point, with 5 skills, I should be able to start doing that once I get these to slightly higher levels. So once I'm in the high 30s, the high 30s, then I should actually start being able to handle aggro. But anyway, let's avoid Mr. Rabbit there. So what I want to do next episode is switch to a new job. I know, but I really like doing all the jobs and showing them off. And in particular, I actually have skipped a lot of dungeons because they weren't necessarily feasible with the jobs I was doing. Dungeons usually have monsters which aggro. At the moment, the only dungeons I've done were the Maze Below the Well in Eversun City, the Inn Basement in Eversun City, and Farrell Family Crypt in Eversun North, which didn't even really have many quests. There are still a bunch of dungeons I haven't done. If you do the first mirror quest, which is the main storyline of the game, then you get access to the Town Hall basement. So that is a new dungeon, which is for the late teens. Then in Eversun South, there is Canyon Canal, which is for the late teens and low 20s. Then in Swan Lake Basin, you have Phoenix Tower, which is all the way through your 20s, really, it goes. And then you have Neptune's Temple, which is for the low to mid 30s. And within Neptune's Temple is another dungeon, which is for the high 30s. Yes, really. And then Copperhorn Mountain has Grizzly Garrison, and also another dungeon called Longstone Woods, which you only get access to for beating the quests in Grizzly Garrison. And then here in, now Classic Lane's quests dungeons are super high level, like 70s. Don't worry about those. Giantwood Manor is a weird dungeon. It was like a weird special gimmicky dungeon they added, and the enemies are really low level, but they hit really hard and have a lot of HP. So by the time you're strong enough to fight them, they don't give good experience. Yeah, people don't like that dungeon. Don't worry about that one. Then in Collington, we have the Emperor Gang Hideout, which is for the low 40s. And Grassgreen Square, we have Quintuple Manor to the left, to the right, and that has magic enemies which are in the low 40s as well, or like 39 to 41, that kind of range. So yeah, there are a lot of dungeons we have not done, and because dungeons have a lot of aggro, you either need to go in with a team, or you need to go in with a job which can take aggro. And I think some of the best jobs for taking aggro are Dancer and Fencer. I've been comparing them a lot because while they're not the same, they do have some things in common. So next time, I think it would be a great idea to finally become a dancer, show off that job, and maybe start our next dungeon. All right. That was a lot of new stuff in this episode, but we are starting to get further into the series. I believe this is episode 27, so hopefully it's not too confusing at this point to start talking about some of that stuff. As you can see, I myself am constantly learning more about the game, and I also sort of change my playstyle at times. For instance, when I started looking more at what it takes to do the weapon and armor upgrades, I said, maybe it's worth it in the high levels. At this point, no, I would much rather upgrade to higher level armor, but at some point upgrading my armor the old-fashioned way may be worth it. You can see these boots, now not accounting for the bonus stat, which I didn't get, have 12 defense. These have 14 as their base, and then I've got 4 extra. You can see that it's going to keep scaling up. By the time you've got to your level 50 armor, for instance, that's insanely higher in defense at the base before you've done any upgrading. And so I'd rather wait. I think the recipes for the chainmail set, the level 35 set, are not that hard to get. You actually just get them in the main map in, sorry, I hit the wrong map. The main map in Blackatoa. And there's only one type of, only like 1 or 2 types of enemies in Blackatoa that aggro on site. So overall, collecting those recipes is fairly easy. Meanwhile, some of the other light armor recipes you have to get in dungeons. I will just tell you that in Phoenix Tower, you get the level 30 armor recipe, light armor recipes, and in Neptune's Temple, you get the level 40 recipes. The level 45 recipes are, I'm trying to remember. I think they're in the second Canyon Canal in Blakatoa. That's going to be a much tougher area because everything there aggroes. It is very powerful. And then the level 50 armor is much harder to get. It's in a dungeon over in East Sea Plain where the enemies are in their low 50s, low to mid 50s. So that's going to be much harder to get those recipes. So there we are. For now, we're going to take a break from Fencer and in the next episode become a dancer. As always, thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed it. Please join me again next time and until then, bye!